now I think that we should get to ask you a question.
Come on.
If you could say one last thing to your dad, what would it be?
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna cry.
Welcome to Positive Recovery MD. If you're listening, chances are you want to create happiness around you and thrive in your life. We're glad you're here and you've come to the right place. This podcast will inspire and motivate you to not merely survive your recovery journey. We'll give you the tools to build or strengthen your foundation to thrive and flourish in your life. In each episode, we will come together as a community to have authentic conversations around addiction, recovery, and what matters, growth and progress, not perfection, all while developing positive habits for you to utilize. To learn more, please visit positiverecovery.com/podcasts to sign up and to receive the daily positive interventions that we'll review, as well as gain access to exclusive Positive Recovery content available only to Positive Recovery MD listeners. All right, let's get started.
Welcome to Positive Recovery MD. I'm your host, Jamie Demeris, and today's episode is a deeply personal one. A few weeks ago, I brought my kids to work with me one weekend at the office, and they had never seen my office after I converted it into a podcast studio. So in a spontaneous moment, we sat down together to record a conversation. I thought we were just having a little fun, but what unfolded was something so real and moving, it left us all in tears by the end. Because we talked about things they love, lessons they're learning, and the journey I've been on in my recovery. Towards the end, my son asked me a question about my father, his papu, that's the Greek version of grandfather, who my daughter or him never got to meet. You see, I got sober 3 years before my father passed, and my children were born a few years after that. And that moment reminded me just how powerful recovery is, not just for us, but for the generations that follow. This episode is our Father's Day's gift. And while Father's Day is a celebration for many, I also want to acknowledge that for some, it can be complicated or even painful. Whether you're a dad, missing your dad, healing from your relationship with your dad, or simply navigating this day in your own way, this episode is for you. It's a reminder that recovery can heal. It can heal families, it can build bridges between generations, and it also creates space for honest, loving connection. So join us, me, my daughter Lauren, and my son Dean, for an unfiltered, emotional, and beautiful conversation straight from the heart. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Positive Recovery MD, where we explore the power of purpose, connection, and growth. Today's episode is extra special because my guests aren't just inspiring, they're also family. Joining me are two of the brightest lights in my life, my children, Lauren and Dean. Lauren is a 12-year-old, and she's in the 7th grade. She's passionate about volleyball, skincare, makeup, fashion, and soaking up the summer sun with her friends. She's got a creative soul, a curious mind, and big dreams. One day, she plans to open her own therapy practice or become a doctor. My son, Dean, he's 10 years old, and he's all heart. He's a true athlete, quarterback on the football field, first baseman in baseball, and the center of his basketball team. But beyond sports, Dean's wisdom and kindness shine. He's crying as I'm speaking right now. He wants to play professional baseball or maybe work with his dad someday. He also said that if his sister got her business going, that he'd love to work with her. So this episode is all about family, dreams, and what it means to grow up with intention. I can't wait for you to hear their insights, laughs, and even a few surprises. Tell us a little bit about you. If you were to talk about friends, like what is your most memorable experience that you have with a friend?
We were at my birthday party and we were walking into it and there was a shooting.
A shooting?
Well, it wasn't a shooting, but we were just walking and then somebody got arrested and we heard shots. And my friends just started running towards it instead of away from it.
That is so interesting. I think you're talking about the one that you had at the Katy Mills Mall, right? I wasn't there. I hadn't gotten there yet, at least, or I had already left, something of that nature.
You hadn't gotten there yet.
I hadn't gotten there yet. And so there was like a robbery in the parking lot or something. Yeah. And you know what? That's something interesting. It's a little good nugget for our listeners and for y'all. We remember emotions tied to events, not actual events. And that's what sparks our memory. Like the boring ones, we don't remember them very much. So that's exciting. So who are your friends that were with you that day?
Mozzie, Thomas, Kendall, Henry, David, Harrison.
And where were you having your birthday?
Slick City.
Slick City. What is Slick City for our listeners?
It's an indoor slide place.
Yeah. Do they have trampolines inside?
They have like bouncy things with a basketball court. And volleyball.
So you get to play basketball with your friends. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Let me just go over here to Lauren. Lauren, tell us a little bit about you.
I'm 12 years old and I love hanging out with my friends. That's like what I do during my free time. And then I also love to like go outside and like go swimming and play volleyball.
What is your most memorable birthday party?
Probably my one when I think I was like turning 8 or 9. And my mom, she hired like, oh my gosh, what is it called? Decoration person, like interior designer, to design tents and put like stuff around the tents and like decorate the whole like.
So let's build this up for the listeners. Where were you when you got picked up to go to this birthday party?
I was at my dad's house.
And then we got a what?
Limousine.
Oh my God, we went into a limousine.
Yeah.
Was your brother there?
The neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah. And then where did we go?
To my mom's house.
And then?
Oh no, first we went to go pick up all my friends.
Oh yeah, there we go. And then we were dancing and playing some music inside the limo, and then we pulled up to your mom's house, and what happened?
And I didn't know about like any of that. I didn't know about anything. And when I walked in, there were like a bunch of tents and I like screamed because I didn't like, it was so exciting. And it was so fun because like I just had like all my best friends there and like my cousins and like it was so fun.
And where did you go first and what did you start doing?
I went into like the tent, like my tent, and I like screamed.
And you jumped up and down and said what?
This is the best birthday
ever. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. So tell me a little bit about school. What are you learning in school?
Okay, right now in math, we're going over like everything we've learned for like finals. And then in science, we're learning about days, months, and like weeks. And did I say Spanish? Or did
No.
I say science?
You said science.
I mean Spanish.
Oh, Spanish. You and Dean were both at a private school, and then you went to a public school. What were some of the challenges that you faced in public school?
Well, there were like so many more people, but I did know a lot of people since I went to that public school before. It wasn't that hard to make friends because like I knew a bunch of people. The like worst part is my dad, he was friends with someone. I don't know then if I should say this.
What is it that you want to say?
Well, it's about your friend who did yoga with you.
Oh,
and
go for it. Say it.
Okay, so my dad was friends with this person, and he did yoga with them, and he wanted me to sit with her daughter at lunch, and so I did, but she was actually like not nice. I sat with her, but I had asked to go and sit with my old friends, but I couldn't because my dad told me that I needed to sit with her at lunch. And so I sat with her and like we became friends, and then like I got into this friend group. And I'm friends with the people in this friend group right now, but a few of them. But they were like not a good friend group, and I wish I would have sat in with the other friend group because I would just like they were just they're so much nicer and like they have like, I don't know, I feel like I have more in common with them. So that was like the only thing that really is not good.
So Lauren, let's talk about that for just a sec because you say it's not good. And what did you learn from that experience?
To sit with who I want and not listen to my dad. Joking.
Yeah, let's wind that back up a little bit. What did you learn about friendships?
That like friendships come and friendships go, and like it's like you're not like, I don't know.
Yeah, how do you know what it is that you like until you start to try something? And You tried something, it didn't work for you, and you saw that you had a choice in the matter. And so you tried something different.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't worry about, you probably battled with the feelings of what are they going to think? But at some point, you had to make a decision based on what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. And so now I'm in a really good friend group, and I'm still friends with like everyone from that friend group except for like a few people.
Do you remember Daddy's biggest piece of advice when you were going into junior high?
To like
do it because
you want to do it and not because other people want you to do it.
Right. Or because other people are doing it. You have to do it because you want to do it. And when you do it because you want to do it, then you're okay with the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back to Dean. Dean, you sent me a video the other day. Some of our listeners might have seen the video because I created a post about it. Do you remember what that video was?
Uh-huh.
What was it?
A fence story.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the story of the fence.
So there's this man, there's this analogy of a man, and he said he was given the choice between God and Satan. And Satan said, I'll give you all you want, all the riches. And then God said, I'll give you happiness, love, and something else. I don't know.
And so on one side of the fence is God, and on the other side of the fence is Satan.
And the man just laughs at them and sits on the fence. And then while he's laughing at them, it goes dark, and out comes from the dark Satan, and he says, the fence belongs to me.
Yeah. So the guy didn't want to choose because he liked some of the things that God gave him, but he kind of liked some of the things that he could do on Satan's side of the fence. So he sat on the fence, and then it went dark, and Satan laughed, I own the fence. Yeah. So that was like a meaningful story to me because my children know that I battled addiction and battled it for quite some time, and that I have 18 years currently, somewhere in the middle of 18 and 19. So battling it in and out, in and out, in and out. I could never get sober. And there was this one time when I was in Phoenix in 2005, which is a year before I finally got sober for good and for all. And I called a friend of mine from a payphone.
I know what it is.
Yeah. Did your mommy show it to you? And I was almost homeless. And I was living in my sponsor's house, leasing it from him, and was like ashamed, and called this person. And this person straight up said to me, Jamie, you need to get off the fence. You either need to go back to AA or don't go back to AA. But you got to get off the fence. You can't have a foot in both. It's kind of like fear and faith. You really can't have one unless you completely rid of the other. Like they don't abide, they don't play together. You know what I mean? So she said, get off the fence. So I made a decision that day. Then the decision was, I'm not going back. I'm actually going to stay using. And I continued to use. And it quickly went south. And I made the SOS call one day for my brother, and then the next morning, my brother and my mother picked me up. We packed everything in the car, including Jack, and we drove to Houston. We actually drove into Houston when there was bumper-to-bumper traffic for Hurricane Rita, and everybody was trying to escape Houston. And it's funny because I didn't know who John Granado was. Do you remember I was talking about him yesterday? I didn't know who he was. So we were driving in the morning, and he was on the radio show, and I hear this. I'm in the back seat laying down kind of sleeping, and I hear this guy say, and guys, look at my boy Jamie Demeris. I mean, like everybody in Houston is trying to get out of Houston, and my boy Yanni is driving into town. And I was just like, who is this guy on the radio? I got off the fence, and I chose something. And then when I got to the bottom of that, I realized I need to choose the other side. And I chose it the other way, and haven't had a drink or a drug since December 13th, 2006. I've been clean and sober, and thank God y'all have never had to see me when I was living that life. You know what I love, though? It took me years to learn the depth of that, and how you saw that was powerful and chose to share it with me. Like, that really touched me. You know, I love that you can see that and see the spirituality in that. What are you looking up? Are you getting bored?
Well, I was looking at text.
Yeah, just a habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what we talk about at Positive Recovery. It's all habits. Everything that we do is a habit, and human beings are predictable, right? Why'd you shake my hand?
Because you had your hand out.
Because human behavior is predictable. See, Lauren just did it too. I never asked you to, but when someone puts their hand out, we respond, right? And so once we create enough behaviors like that, those are behaviors that are created. Some are good, some aren't good, which is why we as parents like try to create good habits and patterns in y'all. So like you picked your phone up out of habit, right? You didn't even think about it. It just came up and y'all reached out and touched my hand out of habit. Well, when something's not supporting you and you want to break it, how do you break a habit? Practice. It's messy. You know how when the coaches tell you to change your hands on the bat and to kind of hold it a different way, and then you go to swing and it doesn't feel right, right? But you got to keep practicing. You got to get messy with that. It's kind of like yoga. Do you remember when y'all went and did yoga?
Yeah.
The first time that y'all tried to do tree pose, you couldn't do it. It kind of got messy and kind of faltered, but then all of a sudden it got better and better. And then all of a sudden, and the same with your wheel. How many times did you practice doing a standing back bend into what yoga practitioners call wheel, which is your fullest self-expression?
A lot. And I've only done it once.
Right. But you did it.
Once.
Right. But as you practiced it, it got better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you started practicing what? Where you place your feet and how you place your feet and when you bend. But at first, it doesn't happen like that. That's how you create habits. And when you get bad habits, sometimes they're harder to break than good habits. But that's science. That's for another day. We're just kids having fun today.
You're 50.
I'm 54. I'm 54.
You're not a kid.
I can be a kid.
Okay, whenever you were talking about, you asked Dean what was your most memorable birthday, I couldn't stop thinking about that video whenever you did like the bloopers and it was like, what is your biggest asset?
Oh, that was, yeah, quality connection cards. And I did a take, and Julie D'Onofrio, our president, was like recording it for me, and it was for Christmas, and oh my gosh, that was hilarious. And we kept doing it over and over and over, and we laughed and cried, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Every time you were asking us questions like that, I just was like, that's so funny.
So let's play the question game. Pick a card. Read the question. I hope it's not a spade.
What's a spade?
Spade. Is that what card do you have? That is a 5 of
Diamonds.
diamonds. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
That's safe.
How has your life turned out differently than you expected it to? Me?
Yeah. If it's a spade, then I would answer it.
Well, I thought I would be going to Memorial Lutheran right now.
Yeah. And that turned out differently. And what were you saying the other day about it?
I am so glad I went to public school.
And why?
Because, like, first of all, there's, like, I had 10, 12 people in my class, in my grade, and now there's, like, 200 people in my grade.
Wow. So, yeah. So what is that called?
Change.
Diversity.
Yeah.
You get to meet a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different ethnicities, just different people with different likes. You're not limited to just a short, small, select few. You actually...
At Memorial Lutheran, I'm pretty sure that you couldn't even go there if you were, like a different religion than, like, Memorial Lutheran.
Right. Yeah, because yes, different schools have different, like, especially private schools. Now, some private schools will accept anybody as long as you're willing to believe the faith that they're teaching. Here, Dean, your turn.
What quality about yourself took you years to learn? Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Like physical or mental?
Mental, physical, whatever you want to talk about.
My hair.
Yeah. Yes. Tell us a little bit about that.
So my hair used to be like all the way down to my shoulders, and it used to be like puffing out and like just all messy. And then one day I was like, I want to get a mullet. And now I just have been having a mullet for the past year.
Yeah, but then you went and had your hair done by somebody and they put a little bit of product in it and you were kind of feeling it, right?
Uh-huh.
Felt good.
Mhm.
And then you didn't even ride your bike to school because you didn't want to put your helmet on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the world. Welcome to the world of adulthood. You won't even walk to school, so let's not even go there. All right, let's pick another card.
I got it today.
Oh boy, here it comes. Here it comes. The real question.
Okay, I actually really like this one. What do you see in me that you wish you had in yourself?
I wish that I had the ability to speak about how I was feeling like you do at your age.
Like, give me an example.
Like you'll ask for space when you need space, but then you'll return back and talk about what was upsetting you and have a conversation about it. And to have that quality at this young of an age is big. No, for real, it's big. It's probably one of the biggest challenges as adults. We avoid, like not every adult does this, but I avoid confrontation. I don't like confrontation.
I do.
Yeah, you do?
I like if someone does something, it's not that I like it, but if someone does something and I'm going to ask them about it instead of just because I would hate if someone was upset with me and didn't tell me why they were upset with me and I couldn't do anything about it.
Right, because it's unknown. And then what ends up happening?
You assume a bunch of stuff and that's not even close to what's happening.
That's right.
That's what happens so much with my friends.
I had the 4 agreements over here somewhere, but the 3rd agreement is don't make assumptions. And the way to not make assumptions is to use your words to ask for clarity so that you don't have to. Dean, what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago? That's hilarious. Oh my God. And how quickly you picked up. I can't answer this.
So what do I do?
Well, what would you, if you were to go back to 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself about what the next 10 years was going to be like?
It's gonna be adventurous, fun, funny.
All right, I'll pick one now. How about that? What do you love about your work? What I love about my work is opportunities like this where I get to be creative. Creativity is something that I love. It's it's my flow activity where I just lose track of space and time when I'm creating artwork like the artwork you see behind you, or when I get to have an authentic conversation with someone like I'm getting to have this morning with the two of y'all. Those are the things that I love about my work. But the thing that I love the most really is when I'm making a connection on an admissions call and I'm helping someone that's challenged and not willing to take that next step or is trying to delay the next step, and I get them to see the insanity of that or get to hold space for them to make the decision to come in, and then get to see them celebrate a year or 2 years. And there's quite a few of our alumni that have multiple years. One of them, you remember, he's the one that played the video games when we were at the beach house. Yeah, I used to play baseball. See, you know exactly what I was talking about. And seeing people like that once struggled, thriving in life, that's the experience. That's our mission statement, to experience the joy in helping others flourish in recovery, work, and life. So, if y'all could say one thing to our listener to wrap this conversation up, let's do this. Lauren, if you could give one piece of advice to your future self, what would it be?
Okay, don't if someone has a personality that don't change your personality. Don't change your personality for somebody else.
I love that. Awesome. And Dean, if you could play on any team in the world or work on any project with Dad, what would it be and why?
A project or a team?
Whichever one you want to answer, or you can answer them both.
Well, I would want my dad to be the coach of my team.
And what team would that be?
The Astros.
The Houston Astros. So here we are creating our vision for 2035 as Dean makes his Astros debut. And the coach of the Houston Astros is yours truly, Jamie Demeris. And we are the first father-son duo rookie coaches to ever play in Major League Baseball. And we win the game 4-0 as Dean goes 4 for 4 with 4 home runs and the crowd yelling, "Big Thunder," because his walkout song is Thunderstruck by AC/DC. So
Now I think that we should get to ask you a question.
Come on. All right. I guess this podcast isn't over yet. Here comes the creative work.
So do you think that you have any regrets in life, or do you think that everything like that happened for a reason and you like learned from it?
So that's a really interesting question, because you can always go down the regrets. And if I regret, then I'm just standing in this space that I wish things would have turned out differently. And I actually was telling this to my mom one day. So from 1989 to 2006, I battled addiction. And there was a lot of times that they tried to help me, and there was a lot of times that they drew the line in the sand and said, we can't help you anymore. And it all had to happen exactly the way that it happened. And it had to happen exactly the way that it happened, to where when I did finally get sober for good and for all, that there was a day that I crossed paths with your mother. And the day that I did cross paths with your mother, she was seeing someone else. And then we crossed paths again, and we ended up dating. Then we ended up getting married, and Lauren and Dean were born. So then when we divorced, which is nothing that we keep secret, it actually is what led me to looking deep inside myself to come out of this a better man. And I tripped into a yoga studio. And what had to happen in order for me to be at that place at the barbecue on that specific day, where those people came in and said, you should come do yoga with us. And then I did yoga, then yoga teacher training. And then all of a sudden I'm playing basketball with George, and he says, why don't you go and teach at my treatment center, and blah, 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 blah. And so I started volunteering teaching in 2018. Y'all used to go with me. And then all of a sudden I'm leaving the family business and I'm going to work for Positive Recovery, which is the only way that we're sitting here having this podcast talk. So I was telling my mom one day, everything happened exactly the way that it was supposed to happen. And there wasn't a right or a wrong that you did or I did. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, well, because if it doesn't happen exactly the way that it happens, then I don't have my two beautiful children. She said, you would have met somebody else and had beautiful kids. I said, yeah, but not Lauren and Dean. That's the only way that it could happen. So if I have a regret, what I'm actually saying is I wish life would have turned out a little differently, which would have then altered. But yes, there are some things that I can grow from. So are you asking me about that? Sorry, I gave you the long answer.
No, that was like what I was asking.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah. But there are some things that's the thing, is you can either have a regret or a teachable moment, and you get to choose which one you choose.
Yeah.
And for you, sir, what's your question, Dean? I expect nothing less from Dean than a deep question.
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. I'm just curious if I'm going to cry.
Do you think it's going to cry?
I don't know. Just ask.
I don't.
Speak it straight into the microphone. It's okay. Crying's okay.
If you could say one last thing to your dad, what would it be?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to cry. I just wish he could have met y'all. I really do. Have you heard the story that I've told about? I used to write a post whenever I got sober. And every year on December 13th, I would write that post. Well, Papu passed away on December 10th. So I used to write something about him. And there was this one morning where the night before I had watched an episode of This Is Us. And it's a story, you want to cry? Watch This Is Us. It's a series that was just, it would really move you. And there was a story about death, and the girl was losing her grandfather who was sick, and I guess it was her uncle was trying to explain to her that life is like a big painting. And once you put your color and your marks on the painting, you're always there. Whether you die, your soul and your mark on the world lives on forever. And I was trying to figure out how I could make this into a post. So the next morning, we're sitting in the backyard, and Dean's kind of walking around before school, and I'm taking pictures of you. And you walked up to the lemon tree and you went to grab the lemon. And I took a picture, and I knew, because you know who planted that lemon tree? Papu. Papu did. And he was there. And everything that we've been provided, like Papu provided a pathway for us. With all the hard work that he did when he came over, like he's been affecting my life and your life in ways that we don't see. But I really wish that I could have seen him see y'all. But I know that he's watching over us all. I believe it. So with that, we're going to wrap this one up. because we got to go find tissue. But I do want to thank you for asking such a deep, powerful question, and for being such beautiful children, wonderful, beautiful children, and for being willing to get on here and be vulnerable. So we might have one of the most listened to podcasts that is going to be released. We're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Recovery MD. Thank you for listening to this episode of Positive Recovery MD. Don't forget to visit positiverecovery.com/podcast to sign up to get your daily positive interventions sent straight to your inbox. Be sure to subscribe to Positive Recovery MD on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts to receive an automatic download when a new episode drops. And as always, if you or someone you know needs help, visit positiverecovery.com or call 877-4-SOBRIETY. That's 877-476-2743. Our why is simple. We care. We are here to help. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Ah, that's a hockey goal.